Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. As always, I am so happy to be with you today. I always am looking for the most perfect guest for the moment, and boy, do I have someone who's very special for you to meet today. In particular, because she's part of a Broadway performance that had its debut back in the 70s and is back on Broadway again. She is starring in For Color Girls Who've Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough by playwright extraordinaire Ntozake Shange, and she is Dee Woods. She's playing the lady in yellow. She is an incredible actor, performer, singer, and she has been making her mark, building her career, and she's going to tell us all about the journey that she's been on. So please join me in welcoming Dee Woods.
Hey,
How are you, dear? So good to have you on the program. And
thank you for having
congratulations on
me.
being on Broadway.
Thank you.
What is it when you found out that you were going to be on Broadway? Take us to that moment.
Oh, let's see. Okay, well, I was doing something similar to this. I was on Zoom with my
Right?
with my reps, my agents and my managers, and we scheduled to have a meeting about other projects, and they got the word that I had been chosen. And that particular day, I just put on a yellow sweater because I wanted to have like vibrant energy. And I didn't know, they didn't tell me. I
Oh
just
my
put this
goodness.
yellow sweater on. We've been doing Zoom for 2 years, almost 3 years now. And, we just have to look presentable, even though we're just hanging out in our pajamas. And so I put this yellow sweater on. When I popped up on screen, I saw their faces kind of like think like, does she know already? And so
And
they
you
told
really
me
didn't.
I didn't, but it was kind of ironic that I chose to put that sweater on. And then they told me that I had been cast as Lady in Yellow and that I would be making my Broadway debut. And
That
of
is so
course, I
extraordinary.
had to scream, but like a silent scream because I was in my apartment. So I was just like,
Right.
like that. So
Doing
I
the
wouldn't have my
silent scream,
neighbors.
but letting all the energy out.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so most of us have stories of watching, performing in, some relationship to this iconic choreo poem by Ntozake Shange. Tell us, how did you first learn about For Color Girls?
Um, I well, my most solid memory is I went to see a performance of it when I was in ninth grade. It was a school trip. I went to the Tri-Cities High School of Visual and Performing Arts in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was a dance major. And it was a school trip. We went to the Alliance Theater, and I just remember kind of being like spellbound in my seat, just like looking up at these women, particularly the lady in red, because years later, I did a production of Jar the Floor and had totally forgotten about my experience seeing For Color Girls. But the minute I heard her voice in this
Wow.
new production, it like snapped me back to how I was looking, just that memory of that in my mind's eye of her performing the Bo Willie, A Night with Bo Willie poem at the
Yes.
end of the piece. And I heard her voice in the rehearsal room. And when we had a break, I had to just run over to her. Her name was Bernadine Mitchell. And I was like, you were in For Color Girls at the Alliance Theater. And she was like, I think so. I think I did. And I'm like, no, it was you. I remember. Like your voice is like, is
Captivating.
so recognizable. Yeah. So that's my most solid and vivid memory of being first introduced to it. But I feel like it's been around me my entire life.
I bet it has.
Obviously, dancing, being in dance. I started dance when I was 3 years old.
Mm.
I've been in theater since five, performing. My first production was August Wilson's Fences, and I played the young Raynell
Oh my
character.
goodness. Where how
It
old were
was
you then?
five.
So that you wait, hold up. You were in Fences when you were 5? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's amazing. Was this in Atlanta?
No, this was in Springfield, Massachusetts. So I was raised in Springfield, Mass, and then moved to Atlanta in high school.
I
So
see.
just been in the arts in my whole life, and at I'm very, I'm very fortunate. Like I've been in these situations. They were, it was the traveling, the national tour of Fences, and they came to New England, and they needed the young character. Of course, they weren't going to travel with the, with the right
Yes.
now character. They needed to find a local kid, and my sister and I both auditioned. And my parents, they tell this story that they were worried, like, what if one gets it and the other doesn't? What are we
Yes.
gonna How are we gonna explain it? But the theater actually liked both of us and decided to cast both of us, and we would just alternate nights because we were so young. So it worked out.
Right.
We both got to do
That
it.
is what a great story because I could imagine, as a mom myself, I don't just have one child, but I understand that thinking if one gets it and the other doesn't, then I mean it's heartbreaking for the parents and also for the children. But that didn't happen. I mean, you all both got it. That's so great. Okay, so I want to know, Dee, because you're in Fences, which still for everybody who's listening to Dream Leapers, we talk about manifesting dreams as young as 5 is pretty unbelievable. But when did you know that you wanted to perform? When did you start just singing or dancing or doing any kind of performance in your home, in your school? When did that start?
So my mom put me and my sister in dance classes. I was 3, and she also tells this other story. The dance recital and the hours, like rehearsing and everything, and she thought it was going to be too much for me.
Hmm.
But what for whatever reason, I was like so determined, and I was just like, no, I want to do it. I want to do it. And I remember my little dance routine was to the Pinocchio song, I Got No Strings, and I had a little Pinocchio outfit and everything. And I was so focused. I was like, I'm in my place. I couldn't move until I had to be like strings, whatever. And I don't
And
know
you were three
where that,
years old.
yeah, yeah.
I love
I don't
that.
know where that came from, but we just had these big imaginations. I have an older brother. He was in acting, performing arts. He was doing commercials and made for TV movies and things like that. There's like a big gap in our age. So probably like from him, just dancing.
I
My
love
father would
that.
play piano in the house all the time and like make us sing song like his favorite songs like Stephanie Mills Home or Luther Vandross, and we just had to like try to match the note, Whitney Houston, things like that. Like we were just like put on the spot, you know what I'm saying? Do that dance or
Love
whatever. We were just
this.
always doing stuff.
That's so great. I have a daughter I mentioned, and when she was 2, I put her in dance class because Dee, before she could even walk, she was doing all these moves with her feet. And I'm like, I think she's a dancer. And I put her in the
Mhm.
morning school. And then she was in Ailey for about 7 or 8 years because we saw it.
Yeah,
And I kudos to your parents for really encouraging you. And, you never know what's going to happen. But
right.
look at what has happened. I mean, it's amazing. So tell us about your journey as, you say at 5 you were in Fences. Mine is still blown by that one. Um, what, what, where you were in school, what was the artistic program like? And I ask that because, in many schools today, the artistic programs are gone, because of reduced funding. There are a lot of challenges for students who, even if they don't want to do it professionally, just to be able to have exposure to the creative arts can be really challenging. It
Yeah.
sounds like where you went to school, there were opportunities. Can you talk about that?
Yes, well, I was always very fortunate to be a part of either programs, either in my school, like public school, daytime, whatever curriculum, or after school weekend, activities. We were always able to find these places that really, encouraged and nurtured and poured into me to like be this imaginative,
That's so
expressive
great.
child. I went to the Boys and Girls Club for summer camp, day camp, and we were always doing dance routines. We were exposed to a lot of activities, and it wasn't like we had like a whole lot of money or we were just like,
Hmm.
it was just these programs. And it's sad that you mentioned that a lot of these programs in the inner cities are being drained of these funds or
Or
being able to pay certain instructors to come in. And give their time and just give their services and just see us for just the children that we are, the imaginations. I had an instructor, and still to this day, we're connected. Like every once in a blue moon, we'll email each other. Her name is Shannon McGee, and she was a grad student at UMass, and she would come to the Boys and Girls Club, and it was like she told us as little Black girls at the Boys and Girls Club, like we were making these. I don't know. She came up with this activity for us to make African queens of ourselves. Like she's like
oh,
design these
lovely.
queens, these big, kind of life size head queens. Like, okay, we're gonna look at this queen, from the Ashanti tribe, or just the different parts of Africa, and now make your queen and make her in your image. And I remember her walking around, looking at us, drawing it out, and correcting us and saying, "No, your nose doesn't look like that. Your nose isn't pointy like that. Do it over." And it was like, oh, I just remember that. Like, she's like, "No, your lips don't look like that. Your lips are fuller. Your lips are this." She made us like see and value our own image. And then we went to a field trip. We came to New York. We went to the Museum of Natural History, and we walked around in the exhibit for Egypt and King Tut and like all the different things. And she was like, "Look, they were wearing braids. That's how you were wearing braids. Look, they were wearing hair weaves. They had
Love
fingernails,
her.
the gold and all the things." And she was like, "This is what your people. This is where you get it from." And I just remember her being like that type of instructor that sometimes the kids will be like, "Oh man, Shannon, she's always trying to drop science on. She always gonna lecture us. But it was like I guess that it was important for her to like feed us, but we look, it's I'm still talking about it to
Stuff.
this day.
Well, when you say that, I think it's so important, and I hope that everybody who's listening is really hearing this. For most of us, there is someone we can point to who really inspired us, and it's often a teacher. It can
Mhm.
as well be a family member, but often somebody who's part of that teaching community just sparks something within us and helps to nurture that, and you never know what's going to happen. And I love that this teacher was looking at you as reflections of queens and having you see your beauty and draw your beauty. That's very powerful, and as clearly it made a huge impact on you because you're still remembering it, and
Yeah.
remembering her. You have to find her. Have you talked to her?
I'm like every once in a while we'll email each other because she teaches. Sometimes she's building a school in Ghana or Tanzania or somewhere. So it's like, you
Wow,
know, wherever she is,
that's
where in
amazing.
the world is she? But we still do have a line of communication. Yeah.
That's so powerful. Hey guys, you're listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. I'm so happy today. We're talking to someone who wears my favorite color on Broadway, the lady in yellow. She is Deep Woods. She's performing right now in Ntozake Shange's classic choreo poem for color girls who've considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. It's on Broadway right now. You need to get your tickets right now so that you don't miss this incredible performance. And we're just hearing about Dee's journey because nobody gets to Broadway without a journey. And
Yeah.
this year has been historic in many ways. We this is the year that we are carefully and slowly coming out of quarantine because of 2 years of being at home. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we Broadway was shut down, and in September, Broadway reopened. And with the reopening of Broadway, there were 7 plays written by Black playwrights that opened Broadway. And that was historic. That had never happened before, that at the same opening of the season this would occur. And from then to now, many other performances have been brought to Broadway. And among them, what we see is this one, which, by the way, I want to tell you one more thing about For Color Girls, D. When it first came on Broadway, I think it was 1976, one of my closest family friends is a man named Oz Scott. He worked with Ntozake Shange to develop the original staging and presentation of her poems. He worked with her. He had just come out of grad school at NYU, the Tisch School of the Arts. He worked with her to turn her poems into something that could be performed. They performed it all around the city and wherever else they did it and brought it to Broadway. And I've talked to him about that performance, and the fact that For Color Girls is performed in high schools, middle schools, colleges around the country and around the world. And here we are back on Broadway with you. So that could feel like some kind of pressure, does it?
Um, I mean, there is a little bit of pressure. We definitely recognize the legacy that we are continuing, and it is a great honor. It is a great honor to be a part of it. Like we were saying before, I was introduced to it as a high school student. I studied the play while at NYU also, and around the corner from the public theater, and kept coming back to it in my journey as an actress and honing my craft and using these poems as like a guide to find my voice as an artist as well. And every time you come back to it and you've lived a little bit more life and they make more sense to you, you know so I was fortunate to be a part of the 2019 production of it at the Public Theater off Broadway, and I met Scott shortly, very short. I'm not sure if it was our opening night or if it was the opening of our previews, but I got to speak to him. And he talked to us about his experience and how they would switch around who played what character, who did what. And yeah, so it's great to be a part of that kind of history, because a lot of Black female actresses come to this. It's almost like a rite of passage, you know what I mean?
You're
And
right about that.
we saw, people coming here to the Booth Theater because it's home. Like we returned home to where it was premiered in 1976, and people come up to us and say, I was here in 1976. I saw it here, or I performed it at such and such college or such and such, theater, regional production. And this is the first time it's coming back to Broadway. So it's great to be a part of this historic moment, and then also to be with this amazing cast of women and our director, choreographer, Camille A. Brown, who was handpicked by Ntozake Shange to be a part of this. So it's like we're really walking in purpose, and we're really, I always check in with myself and just ask and make a prayer before we do a performance to be aligned with the vision and the purpose that and the message that this work is here to do. Like it's not just a show. It's not like
No,
showtime. It's like we're
the
really
messages are
yeah.
incredibly powerful, and they're powerful for right now. You know, we have gone through so much between the real health scare of COVID-19, and then racial reckoning, and then just the horrifying stories of mass murder that are continuing to happen, including to our precious children just right now. And this play stirs up a lot of emotions about the things that women go through and that they're wrestling with. I mean, it is called For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. Suicide is in the title. And one of the things that we've seen, Dee, I mean, I don't know what the statistic is right now, but we know that there's been a rise, literally, in suicide across our country in the past couple of years. I mean, there are a lot of serious challenges that people are experiencing as they are trying to live their lives and become whole if they're not feeling whole. As you play your character, in case there's someone who doesn't know who the lady in yellow is, what is the struggle that she's wrestling with in this performance?
Well, I find like in each poem,
Yes.
it's a different lady, you know, it's a different experience. I don't look at it as and a lot of, you know, in this particular iteration, we talked about, are we the same people throughout the entire show, or are we just giving multiple experiences each time we step up to lead a poem? Because we're on stage a lot of time for everyone's poem. So I feel like there is a through line, however, of ownership of one's sensuality, of one's sexuality, of the right to be loved the way she wants to be loved and taken seriously, and um, yeah, the right to express the need and desire to be loved without it being shameful or looked at as like weak. You know, it's like, you know, one of the lines is like, I survive on intimacy and tomorrow. That's all I got going. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
then she says, but you know, but just being alive, you know, being alive, being a woman and being colored, you know, is a metaphysical dilemma I haven't figured out yet, you know? So I feel like that is one of that's a through line. It's like just figuring out how to have this softness, but also not be looked at as weak or gullible or, you know, less than, you know, because I want to be loved. Why is that, you know, why
Why
is
is
that
that a
a
negative?
negative?
Right.
Right.
Well, and isn't this one of the age-old questions, and desires to be loved and how to be loved and love for who you are, not who somebody wants you to be? Because that's really one of the biggest challenges, to be yourself and feel that you're worthy of being loved and that you also receive that, which I
Mhm.
agree with you that this play explores, and explores when it doesn't happen, and what the yearning is like when you don't get it and you just are grasping for it, and when it doesn't happen, how heartbreaking that can be, and then also how joyful it can be. And
Right.
so for young women who may be coming to this play and struggling with these very questions, you know, how about self-love, about shared love, what do you think the messages are that they can take with them from observing, participating in, smiling, laughing, crying with the performers?
Well, definitely what I love about this particular cast is we really love each other. Like I think people come away watching these performances and really are inspired and find joy in seeing the joy that we're having on stage. And it's not acting, it's not fake. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really enjoy watching each one of them do their their poem, or being a part of their poem, creating the world that their poem is talking about. And we have real laughter, real inside jokes, real tears. you know, this past Sunday, we had to kind of say goodbye to our first lady in red, because she's going on a journey of becoming a mother.
Oh,
And
Dee, can I tell you, when I came to see the performance, which was a few weeks ago, I saw her. I said, wait a minute. And every week you grow a lot when you're pregnant. But 3 weeks ago, she was very noticeably pregnant. And I said, wow, I don't think that this is, an act. I think this woman is really pregnant. And
yes,
she was just, what an incredible presence she has on stage. And then to see the promise of life growing in her, it just made even more dimension to her character, I thought.
right, yeah. Like the first day I met Kanita Armilla, the first day we met on our first day of rehearsal, I wasn't sure because she came in, she had her coat on, it was still
Right.
winter. And so I was like, oh, I don't know everybody's body, I'm not gonna
Right,
assume.
right.
And when she introduced herself, she said, "We're," and I was like, you know, and then knowing that she was going to be doing one of the most dramatic and gut wrenching poems, and I said to her when we
Mm.
had a break, I was like, so you're gonna do that monologue pregnant? She was like, "Mhm." I was like, that's gonna be a sight to see. That's gonna be very powerful. And
It
then
really was.
even the poem that comes after it, the I found God in myself and I loved her fiercely. Like that was it. It was always such a beautiful moment to do that, because we would come around her. She would put our hands on her belly. A lot of times we'd feel the baby moving. The baby was performing. She's a Broadway star already.
Oh, right.
And
It's something else.
yeah, I mean, it was just so beautiful to, to share that experience with her. And in this experience, and, Kanita is nominated for Best Actress for Tony Awards. So it's like all of this came together in such a beautiful way, and we were there to be a part of it. And I think the audience gets to witness that sisterhood and that acceptance and the sharing of the pain and the joy. And I feel like young women, they see that, because we're in a society that, aside from the pandemic and being quarantined, it's very closed off and individualistic, and a lot of people's networks, they don't have that connection. The younger generations are in their phones, like this,
Yes,
they're
they
tearing
are.
down, they have earbuds in, they're not listening around, you know they're not finding that connection, that real visceral connection. And this play doesn't let you shy away from any of that.
No, indeed. You have to. You cannot be at the performance and not be in it in some way because it draws your heart and soul into the performance. It's something. Let me remind folks, you're listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. Today we are talking to the Lady in Yellow. She is Dee Woods. She's performing on Broadway in Ntozake Shange's For Color Girls Who Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. And I want to tell everyone, if you have not seen this performance, get your tickets now. Go to see it. It will be closing soon, so you do not want to miss. You have got to go. This is the thing. Live performances, last for however long they do, and then they're gone. It's not like going to the movies where you can push pause and all that kind of thing. There's something magical about going to a Broadway performance where you see the cast putting all of their energy onto that stage, offering it to you in that moment. No matter what seat you have, you're getting an incredible experience. I mean, actors who are primarily film actors, the good ones, will always say they really like to go back to Broadway so that they can hone their skills because you're doing a show 8 times a week. You have to draw upon all kinds of resources, and I'm gonna ask D. Woods about that in a moment, but I wanna remind the reason that we get to be here together talking to this wonderfully inspiring actor, D. Woods, is because of you. This radio station, WBAI, is 100% listener sponsored. And what that means is there are no commercials. You're never going to hear one. Instead, what you hear is people like myself who find the best guests that we can, or music, whatever it is, so that we can inspire you. For Dreamleapers, my intention is to inspire each one of you because you are listening to my guest, you can be inspired to leap into your dreams. I don't want you to just sit back and go, oh, that was nice. I don't bring people on for, oh, that was nice. It is so that you can hear, wow, look at what this person did, man. I can do what my heart tells me to do. I can leap into my dreams because that is what today D Woods is doing and what you can do too. And how we can do that is by supporting each other. And so we invite each one of you to make a financial contribution to our beloved radio station. You can call us at 212 209 2950. I'll repeat it for you, 212 209 2950. You could also go online and give to the numeral give to WBAI.org and just say that you want to make a contribution of any size, whatever your heart is telling you right now you want to give. You can become a BAI buddy where you give a certain amount every month. And we all know a monthly check, no matter what the size, is welcome. It helps us to pay the electric bill, the phone bill, right, D? It helps pay for everything. That
Yes.
yes, indeed. So please donate as generously as you can to make sure that we can continue to bring wonderful guests like D Woods to inspire us to leap into our dreams. Now, D, I want to know when you were growing up, what do you remember as that first dream about what you wanted to do with your life?
It's really been this. It's really been being on stage, and creating and just enjoying like the whole creative process, like the beginning to the end. Some people, they're like, oh, how can you do that over and over and over? And it's like, but it's not doing the same thing over and over. Like you were saying, it's a live performance. Anything can happen. And the audiences are different. We have different energy every performance. And it's exciting. You get to go further with your craft every time you do it. You get to find more. You get to refine what you did last time. I liked what I did last time. I want to do that, and I want to do it better. I want to be more confident. I want to be more sure. You know, or even when you mess up and then you marvel at how you played it off and you got you
Right,
got back on
right.
track. I know some people, like, they watch Saturday Night Live, and part of the funny thing is seeing the actors cracking up at their own jokes but having to stay in it, and the audience loves seeing that they
That's
are
true. What's
in
real.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real.
No,
So
that's a really good point. Now, I'd like to talk about your journey. You said that dancing was something that you were leading with as a young person. What are some of the roles that you got as a dancer and just as a performer in general? What are some of the things that you did after those childhood experiences, but as you were growing up? What are some of the roles that you've had?
I okay, so I grew up mostly in Springfield, Mass, and I was dancing a lot, different dance groups, and then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and high school, and I went to Tri-Cities Visual Performing Arts High School, and they had us very busy. We were doing a lot. My instructors, Dawn Axel and Freddie Hendricks, had us everywhere. We performed, and I was a part of the Freddie Hendricks Youth Ensemble of Atlanta. So between doing things within the city of Atlanta, we also did workshops, and I did the Alvin Ailey intensive summer program. So I trained here in New York as a high school student, and in at the Ailey School. I traveled with the Freddie Hendricks Youth Ensemble to South Africa, and we performed in festivals there and around the country. I went to NYU for my undergrad, and also was dancing on tour with like recording artists and doing music videos because I was just everywhere. And I did internships with Spike Lee's 40 Acres and a Mule, and Clear Channel, Power 105.1 radio. And I was just like soaking up all of this information, and just different experiences. I did a study abroad in Havana, Cuba. I studied dance there, Afro-Cuban modern technique and folkloric dance.
Now, how did you get into
Yeah.
that? Because this is before Cuba opened up, I assume. So
Yeah,
how were you able to do that?
through NYU, through
Oh,
my university. I just
that is
looked
so
at
great.
the program, and I was like, I have to take advantage of their study abroad programs before I get out of here. And then I was like, where's the least likely place I would be able to go on my own? They got a study abroad in Cuba. That's where I'm going. Of course, my mother was like, what? Why
What
would
are
you
you
pick that
thinking,
place?
girl? Right.
Right. You just
And
want want me to be
what did
worried
you
about
what
you.
did you like about Cuba?
Well, I loved one because I felt like I was at home. I really felt like I was at home. Like if I didn't talk, people thought I was Cuban. Like I walked around and they just thought I was a Cuban, little Cuban girl, Cubana girl, and um, well, the weather, I mean, I'm a summer baby, so it was just like, it just felt good on my skin, the humidity, the sun, there was music everywhere. There's so much culture, and even though they are quote unquote, a third world country, and there's a lot of poverty, but people just appreciate what they have in a way that was different from the United States. We're so materialistic, and it's like, as long as you have a bottle of rum, some music, some pineapple, somebody's dancing, like just people just the community, what I experienced. I'm sure there's stuff that I didn't need to experience, but I mean, I just saw very rich culture, and also a connection in the diaspora of, people of color, Black people. Like we are in all these different pockets, but there is something that is the same, even though there's a language barrier, you know what I mean? But the culture, there was just like a connection. And I find there's a lot of that, in For Color Girls, because Ntozake Shange talks a lot about the Latin jazz and the music and the dance, and how it just like, comes together with her poetry. And so it was a lot like that down there.
And that's I have not yet been to Cuba, but I've heard what you're describing sounds like so many of the stories that I've heard. And then speaking about the dance, because you went there for dance, were you trained by Afro-Cuban dancers? Were you immersed in the culture as you're learning?
Yes, I did. There were several companies that we worked with, in Havana, in Santiago de Cuba, in Trinidad, and we, studied with them, danced with them, and then also there are the Museum of Afro-Cuban Culture. Like you go there, and they're doing Roombas on Saturdays. They're bringing the drums out. They're doing the Orisha dances. It's it's just everywhere. You're immersed in everything, like the colors on the building as you walk down the streets, like the buildings are bright yellow, bright blue, different, just hues of everything. Of course, everyone talks about the old 50s,
The
the
cars and everything.
cars. Yeah, and it's just like, oh, you can ride around in them. They'll take you to different sites, and you can just ride around in the car with the driver all day.
That's so
So,
great. So you had a really, really good experience. I'm glad to hear that you did. Now you mentioned earlier that as you were doing a lot of your dancing and talking about back stateside, you participated. You worked with a lot of different artists, and you were in a lot of different artists' music videos as well. Tell us who some of those artists were. What's some of that music? What did you do?
and well, one of my first big roles in a music video, my music video vixen days was Jay-Z,
Wow.
The Roots. I toured with the R&B singer Lloyd, and then I was like his love interest in one of his videos. And then a lot of people came to know me from being on MTV and being on the reality show Making the Band, and
Which
I
was
ended up
so
being
popular.
chosen. Yeah, I ended up being chosen for the group Danity Kane, and we did 2 albums, both platinum albums.
Congratulations. That
So
was
I'm in my
historic.
own videos too.
Yeah, no, that was historic to get to that level at that time, right?
Yeah, we definitely broke some records. I think we're in the Guinness Book of World Records for the only female singing group to go platinum or go #1 our first week released, like
Which
out the
you
gate.
should be proud of that. That's excellent. And
Yeah.
speaking of
Thank you to the fans. The fans
yeah,
did
exactly.
that.
All praise to the fans who made it possible. Um, so I say I've had 39 lives, and one of them, and including up to now, I do a lot of media training for people in the entertainment industry in particular, and worked a lot with Puffy and a number of his artists, and even I worked on that show, not your season, but on Making the Band. I did some
Oh,
work with some of the artists on Making the Band. That was the so many interesting twists and turns in life, but that program gave a lot of people a start. It was popular when it was running, right?
yeah. We were definitely, if not the #1 rated show on the network, but we were up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that your first experience of doing television?
No, actually, I had done some film and television before that, but very little roles. That was my first time doing my first and only time. Oh, no, actually, my first time being a full-time cast member on a reality show. I popped up on the Real Housewives a couple of times of Real Housewives of Atlanta because Candy Burris, who is an alumnus of Tri Cities, she went to the same high
Okay.
school that I went to, but different classes, different years. But she produced a play, a musical based on her relationship with her husband, and doing that production. Of course, the Real Housewives filmed that, and I ended up being on their show a few times, and also working with Kenya Moore. So reality TV is very interesting.
Well, I remember Kenya Moore. So I used to run the fashion department at Essence 1,000 years ago when she was a model, and
Mm.
I had her. I featured her in the magazine when she was a model when she was really young. Okay, so you have made a song with Candy Burris, right? Aren't you part of
Oh
the
my
song?
gosh. This is so funny to me. The internet will pull things up. Okay,
It's
so
going
we
viral right
it
now,
is
girl.
going viral, and I don't understand. It is no rhyme or reason. It's the same thing that happened to Omarion, like in the fall, where everyone just pulled up this clip of him. And so we did A Mother's Love, the play and musical in 2014. And this is one of the songs from the soundtrack.
2014. It's that old.
2014.
Well, girl, it
Yeah,
is having a life of its own right now.
right
And
now.
and my assistant was like, "Really, D Woods? I think that she's on this song. And she pulled it up and said, oh, yeah, she was telling me all about it. So you never know. Look, you never know. Whatever you put out there on the internet, it's always there. So you
Is
better make
always
sure
there.
what it is. But good for you. Let me remind you
Yeah.
just one more time. You are listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. We are having fun here today with Miss D Woods. She is the lady in yellow in Ntozake Shange's choreo poem that has made it all around the world and back for color girls who considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. We are talking to Dee. She is inspiring all of us, everyone who is listening. I know you're smiling. I'm smiling too because, she's a delightful young woman who is making her way, doing what she wants to do with her life. And I know so many people haven't yet had the courage to step out and say, I am going to do what my heart tells me to do. I hope that D Woods is proof to you that it is worth it for you to pursue your dreams. You can be happy and take care of yourself. It is possible if you put your all into it. And D Woods is showing us that right now. I want to ask everyone listening, please call us and make a contribution because we need you in order to stay on the air and keep people like D Woods coming to talk to us. So you can make a contribution right now by calling 212 209 2950. You can also go online at give2wbai.org. You can make a one time contribution. You can become a BAI buddy, meaning that you give every month. We appreciate any gift that you may give. If you have given before, that doesn't mean you can't give again. We are 62 years old, you guys. We survived COVID. We've survived all kinds of things. When the economy goes up and down, we stay. And the only reason we stay is because of you. It literally is because of you. And my promise to everyone, and this is my fourth year of having this show, is to bring people on who are worthy of you paying attention to them. I'm not ever going to bring somebody on who I don't think is going to inspire you because I don't want to talk to people like that. I want to talk to people who are going to stir my soul and will stir yours too. And that's who we have with us right now, Dee Woods. She is starring in this wonderful performance of For Color Girls, and it's on Broadway right now, and you should go see it now. So, Dee, as you're on Broadway, you're doing 8 shows a week. I would imagine, as busy as you are, there's a lot of interest in, well, what are you going to do next? You know,
Yeah.
because we're always thinking about next. But in your dreams for your life, what do you envision comes after Broadway?
Some more Broadway.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, I definitely have a vision board, and I have a lot of things up on there. I love that this show is called Dream Leapers because I started a mentorship program called Foolish Dreamers, and I worked with high school students about seeing their dreams and come become reality. And sometimes you have to be by yourself. You have to like focus. You have to block out the noise and the naysayers. And they'll tell you you're foolish for your dream, but it's like, well, when it happens, I'll be the one laughing.
Uh-huh.
So we had about 20 students, and I'm still connected to a lot of them, and in their advancements and their accomplishments and pursuits. Some of them have, graduated and gone on to different universities and different programs. And
Wonderful.
I have a song that goes along with it. It's called Foolish Dreamer, and a music video that shows some of that footage of when I was in fences when I was 5 and when I was dancing in my recitals, like, because it always starts as a little seed. You just have to keep watering it, and telling yourself it's possible. And I have my vision board, and I did vision boards with my students, and I'm like, put this up somewhere in your room, and as you work towards it, and the universe brings it towards you, because you do a little step and the universe will step towards you, and you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Like, you can sit back and look. So I actually have the word Broadway. I have a picture of myself. I had a piece of the playbill from the public theater production of For Color Girls, a piece of the program that had my name in it, and I put that on my board, and that was at the end of 2019. I put that up there, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and we didn't know what was happening with Broadway during the quarantine, and then I had to look up there the day that I we opened the show, and I took my first bow on Broadway, and I was like, I put that up on the board. You know what I mean? So
I'm
it
so
just made
glad you
me feel
told
like,
that story
yeah.
because for the people out there who are wondering, there's always somebody who will say, well, you know, they're on the radio, I'm listening to them, but I could never be them. And I tell people all the time, the only possible difference between them and you or me would be how much they stick to it or not. That you keep at it. That's the only difference. We're all in this life doing the best that we can. But when you
Mhm.
reach for that dream and you work as hard as you can to manifest it, then you have a very good chance of manifesting it. And so for you
Right.
to work with these young students is so encouraging. And for the talk about the vision board, I think is really important. In the couple of minutes that we have left, can you tell people, if you were giving instruction now for anybody who wants to make a vision board, how would you tell them to put it together?
I would say don't limit yourself. Like, we used to do vision board parties. Like some of me and my
Wow.
friends, we would do it like right before New Year's and just come together, play some music, maybe have like a little wine or whatever you want to drink or not, you know.
Right?
And it was so much fun because we would just get a bunch of magazines. We would have, poster boards, um, scissors, tape, glue, and just everyone would be talking about what their dream is, what their desires are, and even people would help you find stuff like, oh, I found it. You said you wanted a house, right? I found a good picture of a house. You should cut this out, or you know we would show each other like, see, I said I'm gonna be wealthy, healthy, like whatever the thing is you want to put on your vision board. And like you would see people kind of like start believing, because the more you speak it, it the words are powerful, and like they say, whether you believe you can or if you believe you can't, you're both right, so the more you
That you know what an important point that I think we need to emphasize, because they say whatever you put your mind to is what is going to manifest, because that's where you're putting your attention, and we often don't realize that. So if you choose the positive is what you're going to get. And you are living proof that that vision board worked. You put Broadway on there, and where are you right now? Broadway.
yes, yes.
And what do you do? What do you do to take care of yourself? Because that 8 shows a week is tough. It's tough on your body, really tough on your body, because it's physical. What is your health regimen?
Well, definitely sleep is important. And I know a lot of people oh, sleep is the cousin of death, and oh, we sleep later when we dead. And it's like, no, I'm gonna take a nap. I'm
Good,
sleepy. I'm gonna take a
good,
nap. you know.
good.
So having enough rest, or even if it's not, in between shows, you might not want to go into a deep sleep, but just put yourself on like standby mode. You know what I mean? Just lay down, just be still. Nutrition is key. You gotta feed yourself. You gotta put the right things in your body. Um, and just having like a good balance of, this is a heavy show with a lot of subject matter. So like I usually will go home and like watch something that makes me laugh. You know what I mean?
Smart. That's
I have
smart.
I have friends who are on my social media, And the kind of stuff we send to each other just to like crack up laughing is just like it's medicine, it's for the
Sure.
soul, um definitely I practice all of the warm-ups and technique things that I've learned and all the different levels of training, and all those things come back because every day you might not be the same. So it's like, oh, I need a little something different, or to warm up my voice, or I might need to um, do something a little bit different, alternate things to get the same level performance, but you're just listening to your body like, all right, today, I'm not
I
sure about
need
that.
something different. No, that's every day your body's asking for something else, but you only get it if you listen. D Woods, thank you so much. Look, the hour goes by so fast, and here we are at the end. We are so proud of you. Thank you for all of your commitment that's gotten you this far to be the lady in yellow in Ntozake Shange's for Color Girls. Come on now, here she is, D Woods. Please go and see the play. It is worth it. This performance is choreo poem. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for sharing your story with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I'm about to get ready to go on stage
All right, go
now.
on, girl.
All right, take care.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you being with us. We hope that you are inspired. Until next week, please have a great day and make it count.